Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to my shop. I've just completed cutting miters for a flag case commission, and I thought I'd share with you the technique that I use to do it. Now, I've got another flag case video out there. I'll leave a link to it at the end of this video, but I didn't have an accessory I had with my sliding table saw at the time I made that video, so I used a Rockler tenoning jig configured to work on the sliding table. And to be honest with you, that setup was a pain to use that. It's not the easiest thing in the world to adjust, and I wanted something simpler. So as part of attending the Alpine Technical Workshop, which I highly recommend to anyone if you want to learn more about joinery using higher end equipment, that's an excellent workshop to attend. But I saw that Martin MitreX, which is a complementary angle miter gauge that fits on the sliding table, and at that point I knew I needed one. So I just want to share this with you. And I know if you don't have a Martin, obviously this isn't going to work for you, but Felder makes one for their machines. Altendorf makes one for their machines. Actually, I think Altendorf makes 3. Felder has 2 models, and they say on their website that they can configure it to other make machines. What makes? I don't know, but I'm just saying that if your manufacturer doesn't carry something like this device, perhaps you have an option available. But when you cut flag case parts and you cut this basically 67.5 degrees, that's beyond the capability of tilting a blade or a miter fence on most saws. At least it is on mine. So I had to go with this option to get me that angle. So I'm just going to put some clips in here and show you the various operations. And I'm also going to talk about this Mitre-X and show you what it does and the features that it has. So let's head over to the machine. So this is the Martin MitreX. It's installed on the 2007 model T60 Classic machine. I've got a 350 millimeter blade on it. It's a Teniryu 100 tooth blade, and its cut height is 105 millimeters, which is almost the limit of the cutting capacity for that diameter blade. Now this saw will take up to a 400 millimeter or 16-inch diameter blade. I just don't have them, and it just so happened that my flag case dimension was within the capability of a blade that I had, so I used it. But as far as putting a device on and off the saw, this is about as easy as it gets. This does come with a bracket that hangs on the wall, and I won't show that, but it is a nice steel bracket. There is a groove here on the bottom that you can see that it fits on this lip here, and you just put that thing down, and there's an eccentric clamp here where you just tighten that down and it's installed. Now this piece here, this is a shop made, it's called a chip breaker. I had to build this to get within the capabilities of height adjustment here and chip break my full 100 millimeter wide molding. It comes with a, looks like about a 30 millimeter thick piece of MDF with a couple of sheet metal screws that you just screw down through this aluminum angle bracket. And this piece is height adjustable. It's got a couple of knobs, and when I set up any chip breaker, I'll typically just set a straight edge against the outfeed fence, hold it with my hand, move it up, pull it in, and tighten it down. And that functions as a chip breaker. So that's the way it comes. This is removable. Obviously this is the only side you would use a chip breaker on. So I'm going to pull this off so I can show you other features of this machine. Now these flip stops, there's 2 of them. They are not individually adjustable. They are loosened and tightened by the operation of one knob, and they move in unison. I'll get to the scales here later, but before we get to that, I want to talk about the necessity for length compensation. And anytime you use a stop with a scale, anything you change from the angle you calibrated it to, it's going to be different, because the pivot point of any miter gauge is not directly at the cut line. So as a result, when you move this, you'll see that this tip moves in an arc, and as a result, it affects the length of that stop to the tip of the miter. So I'm going to set this back to 45 degrees. Okay, so now that you know or kind of understand the concept of length, the need for length compensation, I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to show you this scale here, which this particular vernier scale is used on this side of the accessory, Mitre-X. This particular vernier scale is used on the outfeed side. So this scale is in metric. It's identified in centimeters, and there's individual markings to each millimeter. And there's two numbers here. So in the case of, say, 150 millimeters or 15 centimeters, there's another number, 79, or 790 millimeters. 790 millimeters is the length to the tip for the second stop, the most outboard stop. Okay, so let's say, for example, I wanted to set this to cut a length to the tip of the miter. That would be the long point at 45 degrees, 150 millimeters long. In that case, I'd go to this line here. I'd line that 45 degree mark up to the 150, and then I'd tighten the knob, and this stop here, the closest one, would give me a length from the stop to the tip of the miter at 150 millimeters. The second stop would be 790. So that's how this is used. Now I'm going to move over and I'll show you the angle scale. Okay, so this is a close-up of the magnified cursor, and you can see each individual degree is marked, and you can set it to the nearest quarter, and if you wanted to set it between that, you can do that reasonably accurate. So you're talking roughly half or an eighth of a degree, which is more than accurate for what I do in my woodworking shop. But anyway, you can see there's each individual degree number is marked, and it's very smooth, very easy to set. When I tighten the knob, it doesn't change, it just locks in position. Okay, to reposition if I wanted to use the outfeed side of this fence, obviously I wouldn't need a chip breaker then, because it wouldn't be necessary. I don't need a chip breaker on the front end, so right now it's off the accessory. So just loosen this knob, pull this out, and then reposition it to the outfeed side of the Mitre-X. You can tighten that in position. Now I'm using this second vernier scale. Okay, so the stops, each of the stops has a little raised portion here, fits into a groove that's milled in it's actually extruded in each of the fences on both the in-feed and out-feed side. And what that enables you to do is get an accurate cut point or stop for a pointed miter. Normally if it's a squared off piece, it just fits up against the stop and you're moving to go. But when you're doing a point, if you did not have this and that groove, it would tend to fit in your tip of the miter would tend to fit in under your stop, and could potentially even flip it up so you get an inaccurate measurement. It's just that wedge action. So that's the Martin MitreX. I find it useful for the projects that I do, If all you're doing is very large projects, large pieces, the standard fence is fine until you have to make angles greater than about 46 degrees, 47, whatever the limit on this machine is. But this works very well, it's accurate. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll catch you on the next one.